Guys, so today I will be dealing or continuing with the chapter laws of motion itself, right? And today's topic which I am going to take is not there in your NCRT textbook per se. Explicitly it is not there, but numerical questions are being mentioned, right? Or in the about no in your Delhi section. And if you look into the North Indian question papers, 11th class question paper, it has the topic, right? And also mainly this topic is there in NEET as well as JE course. For of course the entire topic is there, and it is even mentioned in your material in SM. So when you turn over the page that in your SM 62nd or 60-second page in your SM, you will see this heading: accelerated frames and pseudo forces, right? That is, I will tell you, just understand the topic where you can see in your material. I'm just referring it, right? But in your textbook or material, when you read it, it might not be coming across as an easier one, right? So that's why I'm going to take it as a separate topic. Clear? Right. So you have taught about Newton's three laws of motion, right? So majorly what we have dealt regarding Newton's law of motion is the most important one which you have learned is second law of motion, right? So this Newton's second law of motion has some problems, right? It is not purely consistent. There are some sections when you apply the Newton's law you will not get the practical answers, right? So in that conditions, right, that or those problems were solved when a new topic or a new section was introduced, which is known as pseudo forces. Right? Yeah. Right? That is, if I say in an explicit way, right? No, the Newton's law, right? It depends upon the observer. Explicitly, it depends upon the observer. Remember, we did a lot of questions like this. There has a pulley, the mass m, here another mass 2m, it falls like this, etc., etc. And you find acceleration, you find tension using equation. It is all based on a person who is standing on the ground and he is visioning it. So acceleration of this body is with respect to this person, and tension of the string is also with respect to this person, right? So the observer is a very, very important criteria. This much clear? Right. So the observer can have two different types of frames. That is, he can sit in two frames, or he has two conditions, and that are known as frames. Right. In first condition is something which you have learned, right? When the observer is standing, he is stagnant, right? Or if he is having constant velocity, that means I can say he is having zero acceleration. When the observer is having zero acceleration or his velocity is constant, in this condition we have learned that the Newton's law is, that is majorly the second law, is valid, right? And this type of frames, right, in the conditions where the observer is having constant velocity, or he can say he's not accelerated at all, that type of frames is known as inertial frame. It is called inertial frame. Keep this in mind, right? This is very important, guys, because the concept is very difficult to understand, but I will teach you in a simpler way. Right? Now the second frame which you have not studied till now, what and all we have studied is this, right? We only dealt with inertial frame till now, because always observer was constant, he was standing outside, right? So usually, or 100% till now, we have only dealt with inertial frame. Now what happens if the observer, the person who is watching, is also moving, right? And that also with different velocities, right? That means there can come in a condition where acceleration is not equal to zero of the observer, as well, that is, his velocity is changing, right? That means here you cannot apply the Newton's law. It is not valid. right? Those type of frames is known as non-inertial inertial frame. Clear? So there are two types of frames, right? That is, we can apply the laws of motion, right, only in explicitly in inertial frame, where the observer is stagnant, or I can say is moving in a constant velocity without any acceleration. Whereas if the observer is also having a changing velocity, or he is also accelerated, then I can say that is a non-inertial frame, where you cannot apply Newton's second law explicitly in this second law. Clear? Right? So this much is clear. So you would tell me that, oh, then that means if this is observer and we dealt with the pulley system and you told the acceleration and tension is mentioned with his perspective, then he is standing on earth, the earth is constantly moving, right? Clear? So then how can I say that this is an inertial frame? We just told that we always dealt till now with inertial frame. See, this is something convention, right? That is ground, or I can say explicitly earth, right? If the observer is on earth, or he's just standing on the ground, then definitely it's an inertial frame. Just by heart, it's a convention, universal convention, right? Clear? Right? If the object or the observer is not or moving with a constant velocity without any acceleration, as well as if the person is standing on ground, even if earth is revolving, right, you say that person is in inertial frame. Clear? Whereas if he is standing suppose he is standing on a car, right, then the car is moving with an acceleration, obviously then this person also has an acceleration, right? So in that condition, I will say he is sitting, or he is actually in a non-inertial frame. Clear? Right? It is very important to understand the logic of it, right? So I will tell you how we can say why it was we are telling that non-inertial frames, it is difficult to apply Newton's second law. See, this is, let's say, a lift, right? On the lift, on the topmost portion, there was a mass m. Let's say the lift is moving with an acceleration a, and there is a person here, capital A, and he is what he's going to observe this mass, right? So this is a string. So when I draw the FBD, that is that is the diagram which we had taught already, right? So this will be tension, right? This, there will be a weight downwards, which is mg, and there is an acceleration. This lift is moving with an acceleration a, means the mass inside that lift will be also having an acceleration a itself. So what equation I can write? T, which is in the same direction of acceleration, minus mg is equal to ma, right? Or I can say T is equal to mg plus ma, right? That is, the tension is more, right? When he's rest, he will not have ma section, he will have only tension is equal to mg, right? So when the lift is moving up, the tension has increased. This much clear, right? This is what we have learned till now. Now what I told, this is a condition called what? Observer is stagnant, he's standing on ground. So this is an inertial frame, that the object is, or also not the object, the observer is stagnant, is not accelerated. Now the same condition, the same lift and the same mass I'm going to consider here again, right? This is the mass m, right? This is the movement in the upward direction, but now I am going to have an observer, let's say B, right? He is also in the lift itself, right? So in the perspective of B, right, when he sees the mass m, he will see that the mass is at rest, because he, that is B, now has the same acceleration as that of the lift, right? As well as m is also having the same acceleration a. So both m feels B is at rest, B feels m is at rest. Clear? I hope you understood the picture, right? That is, if you are in a car, you and your brother are sitting in the same car, you will not see that your brother is getting accelerated, because you are also moving in the same acceleration. So you will feel that the mass right? Or per se your brother is having zero acceleration. Clear? Right. Similarly, if I just consider here mass m, it's free body diagram. If I or FBD I'm drawing, so there will be a tension T and there is an mg below, and you would write acceleration in upward direction. But I just told you that we are all writing it in the perspective of the observer, right? So observer will feel the acceleration of mass is 0, right? So how would you write the equation? He will straight away write T is equal to mg because there is no A, right? But the same scenario we had the earlier condition, right? When we wrote what? When the observer A was outside, we wrote it as mg plus ma, right? And we have told the tension for a string is constant term, right? And we are saying that there are two tensions. Conditions are same, just the observing point is changed, right? That means the tension shouldn't have two values, right? It should have only one value. So they did an experimental thing, right? And experimentally it was proved that tension's value when the calculations was done, T was equal to mg plus ma. That means this section is wrong. That is the second, that is if the observer is inside the lift, what he measures the tension, it becomes wrong. How can it happen? You actually measured that in a proper way and we applied the Newton's law, yet the answer became wrong. So it can be concluded, right, in the second condition that B is having an acceleration, right? So due to which the B is a part of the what frame? It became the part of non-inertial frame. Right, now B, this Y is a part of non-inertial frame because it's having acceleration. That means you cannot apply a Newton's law. Right? Clear? We had the same scenario. We just changed the observing points and we found that we are getting two values of tension which you are not supposed to get. Right? That means if a person or the observer is also moving, you cannot use Newton's second law, right? So how would you do the questions when there is such absurd thing? Because you have taught only Newton's laws, right? And you have to obviously, if a person is moving the car and there is a bottle in that car, the bottle is moving, obviously it falls, right? And if you are asked with which acceleration it is falling, how can you say, right? Or with how much velocity is moving? This and all you have to find. You cannot just say, oh, we have not been taught regarding Newton's second. We have taught that there is no application of Newton's law, hence we cannot find the answer. Oh, of course you can find the answer. That's where the pseudo force comes up. Pseudo force comes up. I really love this topic, because it is purely application based. And purely it is very constructed way of thinking. Clear? So this is where, that is when you told that when there is non-inertial frame, right, we just told that we cannot apply Newton's second law, right? So you introduce what is known as pseudo force, so that after application of pseudo force you can apply the Newton's second law or Newton's law whatsoever. Clear? No, obviously it is not clear. We'll tell you. So pseudo force is a false one or a fake force. It doesn't exist. It is something which an observer, right? An observer has to put in that frame, right? That is, he is in a non-inertial frame, right? You have found a condition. So an additional force is to be added by him so that he can get the correct answer. See. Initially, we found that T was equal to mg when you consider non-inertial frame. So what has to be added? An ma has to be added. Clear? So this ma will be added by the who? By the observer to get the correct answer. The actual correct answer is T is equal to mg plus ma, right? But when he did the calculation in the non-inertial frame, he just found T is equal to mg. So there was a reduction in ma. The ma was not there. So he has to add an additional force ma, which he actually doesn't see, right? Or he feels that it may be there, or he imagines that it is there. That type of fake force is known as pseudo force, as the name suggests. Clear? And the equation of pseudo force, or the formula of pseudo force, is Fp is equal to minus ma, right? Where m is the mass of the object, right? But a is not the acceleration object, but the acceleration of observer. A is the acceleration of observer, m is the mass of object. Clear? M is mass of object, A is acceleration of observer, right? And then you will ask me why this negative sign, right? The negative sign indicates that the pseudo force always is to be directed opposite to the direction of acceleration of observer. That is, if there is an observer, right, if he is accelerated in this direction, then force or the pseudo force should be in this direction, not along the acceleration direction. That's the meaning of this negative sign. We'll do the problem, or I will tell the section properly. Just mug up this thing, right? Because this is something which you have to add addition. See, if you consider the observer in the opposite or just stagnant also, you will be able to do the problems. It's not that. Right? See, I told you. No, you will think that this is the only way by which we can solve a moving object or a moving observer condition. No, if you are having a mass here, a person is here, you can consider. No, in the same example, we can even observer in the place of inside the lift. I can even place him in outside, and then I can find the tension or acceleration whatsoever. It's not that it cannot be possible, but it is a lengthier process. Right, because we have to consider the acceleration of the lift along with the string inside it, then its mass. It's a double work. So in order to reduce it, right, it is easier. We are having a moving accelerated bodies like this. Clear? There are double motion. Clear? So hence pseudo force is an additional trick which we are introducing to do a complicated question like this. Right, so let's move on to the previous. Just we draw about a lift, right? We'll move on with that itself. Right, you had a lift and there was a mass m, right? The lift was moving with an acceleration a, right? So this was the person B. He was sitting here, and I told you, since the observer is in the left, the observer also has an acceleration in upward direction, right? Clear? Now, what is Fp? Pseudo force, it is minus, right? Negative direction to that of the acceleration of the observer. Observer has a direction of acceleration in this direction, means the pseudo force, he will give pseudo force to the mass that will be in this opposite direction, that is in this direction, that is ma. Clear? So there is a tension here, right? So let's draw the mass FBD explicitly again. M, there is ma, and there is an additional mg, remember, it's weight, and there is tension. Now I will write T is equal to ma plus mg. Yes, this is the exact equation we considered for the same example when the observer was outside, right? We found T is equal to ma plus mg, right? So you got the same example, same answer, right? Clear? I hope you understood. You can find the answer. The same equation was found when the person was outside, right? When we found and then we made the change the observer point of view, and we made sure that the observer is inside the lift, and you calculated and you found T is equal to mg, which we told is wrong, right? It shouldn't be that. So something has to be added, right? So such something added which is not existing as per the observer is known as pseudo force, and this ma becomes the pseudo force. Clear? Right? Clear? This much explanation you will not see in any books here. So let's say we'll take another example. I meant to draw a car. This is a car, right? Let's say there is a pendulum with a bob, right? Let's say its mass m, right? Now let's say the car is accelerated in a acceleration in the forward one, right? Right, this is not an example, I'm just giving this is not a problem, okay? So obviously when the car is moving forward, in which direction the pendulum will move? The pendulum will move next in this direction, right? Right, that means there will be a angular displacement, right? So when the car moves forward, let's say a person is there. He is seated in a seat inside the car. Obviously, it is not the way the seat should be drawn, but understand it. So he will, with his perspective, that is, let's say this person is B. That is, in the perspective of B, he feels that the bob is moving in which direction? In backward direction, right? Clear? Right, this type of motion is actually known as fake gravity, which you need not study here, right? So I will say, see, in which acceleration the B will be moving, he will also moving in the A acceleration, right? So that means he is in non-inertial frame, right? Clear? So in non-inertial frame, we cannot directly apply Newton's law. So this person has to apply a what? Apply a pseudo force on the mass in opposite to his own acceleration, right? His acceleration is this one in this direction. So he applied a pseudo force in this direction, right? And that pseudo force is ma. Clear? We are not doing the explicit example. I'm just still in the theory basis itself. Clear? This is how you are supposed to do. Then of course the next calculation should be as you have been taught till now. Clear? Right. Now we'll start with small problems. Let's say this is a trolley. There is wheels below it and there is a mass, let's say m, or let's say this is a pendulum, right? And this is moving in the acceleration a, that is moves in forward direction. Then obviously the pendulum will be displaced with an angular displacement, let's say theta, right? Clear? Now the question is, find theta when or where m rest at equilibrium. Listen, find theta where m rest at equilibrium. First, I have to make you understand what is the meaning of it. No, we have to understand the question. See, you have a bob. You don't consider the trolley. You are having a pendulum. You just oscillated it, right? And let's say usually it goes in to and fro motion, right? That's how it happened. But now think it in a frame that is like this trolley, right? The trolley is moving with an acceleration a and it is always in forward motion, means obviously in this position here, right? That is the last position, this one, it will be oscillating like this, right? But we are not going to consider that oscillation. We are just going to say that an equilibrium will be reached, so that once the body is moving with a constant acceleration in the forward direction, this mass which has been displaced by an angular displacement, or I can say the bob's position is this position here, will be stagnant until and unless this acceleration is removed. Clear? That means I can say now this m is at rest, or I can say it is at equilibrium, right? Clear? This is a conceptual question. Okay. Now moving on, right? Now we have to simplify it. I told you, just like the previous case, I can say the observer is an outside. No, we'll do it with the next section. Then I will tell you how it can be solved with an observer outside also. Okay. Now the same case, let's say this is the observer, right? Here's the person B, right? So this observer will be also moving with how much acceleration? Acceleration A, right? So what will he see? For him, this is moving in the opposite direction, right? Clear? So that means motion has happened due to the application of pseudo force. According to him, that's why it happened, right? So that in order to apply the Newton's law, he applied a pseudo force. Clear? Now it's completely over, man. We'll draw the simply free body diagram of mass m. I'll draw just a dot. For dot, there is an mg downwards. There is ma in upward direction, and the tension, right? There is a tension, it's in a strain, the tension T, right? And this was an angle, remember, this was the angle theta. So If that angle is theta, then what will be this angle? Obviously this will be theta. Then this, I'm removing this portion, guys. Now this becomes t cos theta, because the segment along theta will be t cos theta. Then this segment will be t sin theta. This much clear? Then after that, of course, I can remove the t case, because you have now wrote the tensions components, that is force components, has been fully completed, right? Clear? Right. Now I can just write the equation. What angle can be written? T cos theta is equal to mg and t sin theta is equal to ma, right? So just I can find, you are supposed to find theta, right? So I can divide the second equation by first equation. So I can write tan theta is equal to a by g, or theta is equal to tan inverse a by g. That is the angle or angular displacement of the bob, which is inside a trolley, which is moving with an acceleration a in a forward direction. You can mug up this equation if you want, but I don't believe it is better. Clear? Right. So as the acceleration or the trolley is moving with an acceleration, right, a, if it is increased, let's say, right, if this a increases, obviously the angular displacement increases. That means as the car or the trolley gets accelerated more, right, the bob will move more and more to the upper surface or the ceiling. Clear? Right? Now then you will ask me that of course you have been, or I have taught you guys to look it in the perspective of a person inside the frame. Can you solve the same question if the person is outside the frame? That is inertial frame condition. So we'll draw the same condition. You had a trolley, right? There was some bob m. It got displaced like this by an angle theta, right? Right. So, and I have replaced the observer B by observer A. He is standing on the ground. That means he is stagnant. He is having zero acceleration. He is in an inertial frame. Now, what will be in perspective of A? In perspective of A, he will be seeing this mass M, right? He feels, obviously, he will be feeling that M is moving in which direction? It will be in this, suppose, see, for this person, okay, I will draw this one. Right, for person A, initially this was a position. So next position, he will see the bob has reached here. So he will see the reset displacement or position of M with respect to x value, right, x direction, right? So obviously he will see, because the trolley is also moving with an acceleration A, he will also feel that this mass, right, which is now at rest, right, after angular displacement, this bob is at rest inside the lift or inside the trolley, right? So with perspective of A, in here, right, or I can just draw the different positions. The next first second, let's say it is here. The next second it will be here. That is, in this direction, the displacement of bob M is changing, right? That means the person capital A will see that small m is moving with an acceleration A in forward direction. That is, if I draw it like this, right, this is the angular displacement which has happened. He will feel that the bob is having acceleration A in this direction, right? Clear? So now we have to just draw. This is mg, it's weight downwards. There was a tension here, right? So again, this will be theta, so this becomes t cos theta, or what I'm not ready to do, t cos theta, right? Clear? And this will be t sin theta, right? So t cos theta is equal to mg, and the acceleration and t sin theta is in the same direction, so I can write t sin theta is equal to ma. So this is mg now, right? The same equation you have got in the previous section. So I can just divide the 2 by 1. So you will get theta is equal to tan inverse A by G. right? So we solve the same equation by two perspective. Okay, right? Clear. So in order to help you only, the pseudo force concept is there. It's not a what no, it's not that much difficult. If you understand the concept, it's very easy, guys. Okay, so we'll do the another question. Let's say there is a lift and the lift is moving with an acceleration, let's say g by 10, not exactly g by 10 acceleration, and on here, right, there is let's say there is a spring balance. The spring balance is used to weigh, right? Or I can say it is a weighing machine which is having a spring bin built in it. So 3, let's say this is 1.5 kilogram, half of it, right? And you are asked what is the reading in this spring balance, right? Or I can say what is the tension in the spring, or we can say what is the spring force. That is the question. How will you do? So obviously you can do it from a person's perspective in the outside frame, that is inertial frame. But see, in this condition, it is better if you consider a person inside the frame, that is non-inertial frame is the easiest one, right? So that is a person B is inside the lift, right? For him, as he is moving along with the lift, that person will be having an acceleration g by 10, right? So that is the same as that of the lift. So he will feel that this, right, what will see, this entire system is also moving with that is this pulley, this 2 mass will be moving with g by 10 upward. Similarly, this person also will be moving with g by 10 in the upward direction. So he will feel that the entire system is at rest, right? Clear? So then he will apply what is known as pseudo force, right? He has to do a calculation, and the pseudo force will be applied in both the masses, not an individual one. So I'm going to draw this entire thing in a separate frame, not frame, I can say free body diagram we can draw, right? This is the spring, right? We had a pulley. Let's bring this one upward. So this is 1.5 g or 5.5. This is 3. So normally the acceleration will be here in this direction, acceleration in the upward direction here, right? This much clear? And there is a person here now, right? And he was also moving with up with the acceleration g by 10, right? Clear? Right. So what we did too, we told that both will be having ma, right? Or I can say a pseudo force will be applied. So what is the acceleration here? Acceleration is g by 10 now. So here I will write pseudo force will be 3m, right? That is 3 kilogram, that is m, into a, that is g by 10, right? And here also it will be 1.5 g by 10, 1.5 g by 10 force. Clear? Right? Right? And there will be a tension here. So the tension here will be 2t, right? Not in the upward direction, the outward direction. 2t, right? Clear? Now we'll draw, now each mass I will draw in a separate diagram so that it can be easily written in the equation form. There is a tension T, there is a pseudo force 1.5 g by 10, and there is its own weight, what is 1.5 g, right? And this entire frame or entire mass is moving with an acceleration a upwards, right? Clear? Right. See, I cannot say the acceleration. Now I have considered this mass in with an application of pseudo force, right? So I now cannot write this acceleration a is equal to g by 10, right? Pseudo force I can write m into, because a, what is the acceleration of the observer? Observer's acceleration is g by 10, but I cannot say the same about the acceleration of the two blocks. Okay, keep that in mind. The lift and the observer is having the same acceleration now. Clear? Not the blocks, guys. Don't think in that way. Clear? Right? Now, how will we solve the question? Now, there is a figure with for 1.5 g, right? Similarly, I can even draw for 3 also. There is a tension upward direction. Acceleration for it is in downward. So, there is a pseudo force 3g by 10 and there is a weight 3g in downward direction. So, now you have two masses like this, right? Right. So how will you solve this one? Write equation for these both guys, right? Here I can write T minus 1.5 g by 10 plus 1.5 g is equal to ma, that is 1.5 into a. Right, now for this guy I can write 3g by 10 plus 3g minus t is equal to 3a. Right, now I can even can substitute g's value, which is 10. Then it is easy to calculate now. So t minus 1.5 into 10 by 10 becomes 1.5 minus 1.15. Right, that is equal to 1.5a. Right, here 3 plus 30 minus t is equal to 3a. Right, now you solve, just add these two guys. Right, add these two guys becomes what? How much will be the tt cancels off? Right, so you will get 16.5 is equal to 4.5a, or you will get acceleration value as 11 by 3 meter per second. So if you want, you can write in fraction or you can write in decimal points. Right, now what is the question? You are asked what is the value or can be shown or seen in the spring balance, right? So you are actually asked what is the weight of these two masses combined inside that spring. Spring shows the force, not the weight, right? The unit will be Newton. Clear? So we'll do that one. So that means, remember, we drew the spring system like this, right? Like this, and there was two tension. Right, there was two tension like this, or we can draw this one is tension, this one is tension. So I told you previously that the spring can, if you want, you can even replace it with a string, then the tension will be 2t, right, combined, because they are a part of the same string itself. Clear? That's how you have to view it. So if this is 2 tension, that is the FSP, the spring is actually 2t, right? So you require the value of t. Right, so use any one of the equation. We'll use the last one, that is 3 plus 30 minus t is equal to 3a. I will write it as 11 by 3. Now find the value of t. You will find it at around 22 Newton. Right, so if t is 22 Newton, what will be 2t? It will be 44 Newton. Right, that means that spring force, right, which is present inside the spring will be 44 Newton. That means 44 by g, because you are actually shown the weight, you want the kilogram mass. That means 44 by g, that is the g has to be removed from it, that is divided by 10, that is 4.4 kilogram is something which will be seen on that spring balance. Clear? Right, right. Now we'll do something called regarding an inclined plane. Right, I hope we have done inclined plane basics in the light class. So this an inclined plane. There will be plenty of questions regarding inclined plane. So there is a mass m, say, right, and say this entire frame is moving. That is, this inclined plane entirely is moving with an acceleration a, right? Yeah, and you are asked what is that acceleration of m. Let's say this is m. Right, that's what is the acceleration of this m, such that this small m doesn't fall completely off. Right, that is, it is stagnant there itself. With which acceleration this capital M inclined plane should move so that the small m doesn't fall down or slide down. Right, that means just moving frame. Right, so moving frame, right, or accelerated frames, let us consider there is an observer on the plane. That is, let's say the person is sitting over here. Right, that means now he is becoming, which is known as non-inertial frame. I am going to remove that person because we have to draw a lot. I hope you understood. So if he is that person, okay, this person was there, yeah, he will be also moving an acceleration in this direction now. So he, since in his pseudo force has to be applied by him on this mass, their pseudo force will be in this direction, which is ma. Clear? Right, so let's remove this guy. This much concept clear? Right, now you have to just find the what and all force along with it ma, how many forces are acting on it. So listen to it. I will take another color because you have to draw a lot. Right, now perpendicular to the frame there which will be a normal reaction. Right, surface gives a normal reaction. Now there is a weight mg downward direction. Yes. Now let's say the theta is the angle of the what? this inclined plane. That was not given. I'm extremely sorry about it. Now, if this is theta, then obviously this angle also will be theta, right? Now, so can I divide these frames, right? I can write that this component, which is along, this is angle is theta, right? So this will be MA, what? Cos theta, right? So there is another perpendicular component should be coming here. This becomes MA sin theta, right? Right. Now similarly, I can divide MG, right? MG also, see, if I continue this as a triangle, this will be 90 minus theta, na? If you didn't understand, I will take it explicitly. This angle will be 90 degree, right? So then this will be 90 minus theta. Clear? Right? So if this angle is 90 minus theta, so MG will be having component in this section, that is MG cos 90 minus theta. Right? What is cos 90 minus theta? It is sin theta. So I can write it just like here. I can write MG sin theta. Right? Clear? Right? Then this, along this one, there will be MG what? Cos theta. Right? Clear? So MA sin theta, MG cos theta in this direction, MA cos theta, MG sin theta in this direction. Right? Let's now equate the forces, guys. Right? MA, don't take now MA explicitly and don't take MG because we have already found its equivalent components. Right? Clear? Right. Now what and all can be written? Look at the figure. MA cos theta, this one is equal to MG sin theta. This and this are equal. Right? It is not supposed to move. That's why. Right? Now then N, equivalent to that, there are two forces. N is equal to MA sin theta plus MG cos theta. Right? Clear? You have both equations. Right? Now you just have to solve this one. So you are asked with what acceleration does move. Acceleration, it is better to use this equation. Huh? So I can write mm can be cancelled. So I can write A is equal to what? G tan theta. Simple. Right? Clear? Right? Ouch. So this and all are not tough question until unless you make it tough, guys. Okay. So similarly, if you are having the same condition you are having, right, you're having the same mass, right, same accelerated motion. Let's say it is connected with a pulley system like this, right, and there is another extra mass, let's say capital M here, right? There is a tension upwards. The tension will be there here. The frame entirely is moving with an acceleration A. So let's say the angle here theta. So obviously, just like the previous case, we will have consider, let's say this is having, the inclined plane is having mass m dash. The observer inside the frame, he will use an pseudo force here, right? Just like the previous cases. And we just found that the acceleration's value is how much? G tan theta, right? How did it come up with an acceleration? Due to this pull of capital M, this one, right? The frame will be moving in a forward direction, and that acceleration is equal to G tan theta we have found, because the acceleration of the inclined plane just depends upon the angle of inclination and G. Clear? Now we are going to consider 40 or capital M as a different mass. So there is a mass here, right? Its weight capital mg. It is going to move in downward direction acceleration, and there is a tension T, right? This much clear? So I can write mg, that is in the same direction of acceleration, is equal to minus T is equal to ma, right? Now for this much equation is for only capital M mass. Now there is an inclined plane, which is moving forward like this, and there is a tension here because it's a string connected to it. So I can write T, because there is no external force here. There is an M dash and there is a small m connected to it. So I can write tension is equal to M dash plus small m A. right? So I got two equations here, right? So you just have to solve these two equations, guys, right? So in the previous case, you can just substitute for t here, that is mg minus m dash plus m into a is equal to capital Ma, right? Or I can write mg is equal to ma plus m dash a plus ma. Now all the terms comes as an I, huh? So you then have to solve it, right? Let's see if you are able to solve it or not. You will finally get capital M, that is the mass of that block, will be equal to m dash plus m divided by cot theta minus 1. Try to solve it by yourself, guys. Clear? Solving is something which you have to get this answer. Try it if you can do it or not.